One thing in the new WorldBox update that I have just seemed to not really touch on that much is subspecies and genealogy. So I figured today, why don't I just make 2 super overpowered subspecies, and then after a few hundred years, I make them fight. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So first, we gotta pick our animals. We could go with humans, we could go with some of the humanoid stuff. I think I'm gonna go cats versus dogs, because why not? So on the right, we will go with a bunch of dogs here. We'll start with 200 on each side. So we'll go 200 dogs. Perfect. And 200 cats. That has been secured. Perfect. And now we just need to edit them. So first, we want to rename the subspecies for the dogs. Let's rename the dogs to the... I got nothing. I guess just the dogs. And then we'll name the cats the same. I couldn't think of anything. I'm sorry, guys. And then so first, we'll go down to the subspecies editor, where we are going to make them as intelligent as possible. We'll give them more strength, more exoskeleton, a longer lifespan, more healing, heat resistance, cold resistance, omnivores. We'll give them some talent. I don't want them to be able to teleport, so I'm going to give them the gift of all this stuff. They don't need sleep, they reproduce, short gestation for more bursts, and because they're super dogs, we'll make them dark blue. Now it's time to go to the birth editor, where we give them specific traits for all the kids. So we'll give them eagle-eyed, genius, wise, ambitious, just all of the good stuff. I don't even need to say it, just all of the good stuff. However, 2 things we will not be doing is no one will have immortality, and no one will get super health. Because if we give them super health and we give them immortality, they're never gonna die. That's just how it's gonna go. No one, when these fights begin, no one will die and there will be no victor. So we're gonna have to omit those for now. So if you want to pause and look or slow this video down, here is the complete traits list that you can see. And for the most part, for the subspecies editor and the birth editor, this will be same for the dogs and the cats. The genetics is what I really want to look at here. So we're going to go with the big chromosome for them, and we're going to change this up. So if you look here at the bottom, this is all the different stuff that we can give them. We can give them more stamina, more stewardship, more warfare, more speed, more size, less size, more offspring, all of it. So we got to think here. What do we want to go with? I'm thinking for the dogs, we give them this entire top row is going to be health. So we got health here. For the top, I know that there's a way to make this all connect with one another. If you connect them, they get more buffs or whatever. That's cool, but I'm not going to focus on that because it's going to be too complex. For these 4, I think I'm going to give them the more damage trait because I feel like dogs would do a lot of damage. These 3 here in the bottom right, we'll commit that to speed. We want these dogs to be fast, so why not? Dogs are smart creatures, so we'll give them intelligence for these 3. We'll give them super size for these 4. And for this last slot right here, we'll go with, how about more offspring? That sounds good. So this is going to be the genetic sequence of the dogs. And actually, I'm going to quickly go over to the dogs over here. I'm going to unpause time. Look how much bigger they just get. So they already have like 2,000 health now, which is insane. And you are going to notice that at the start, none of my species birth traits are going to be started. That's because those only apply to the next birth. So the next generation of dogs will have all the traits that are listed. And now it's time to move over to the cats. And yes, I did have the wrong cats before, so I had to change that real quick. So, like the dogs, the subspecies editor and the birth editor are going to be the exact same. So I'm going to cut until we get to the genetics. That's when I'm going to change it up. Okay, so here we are for the cat's genome. And by the way, I made the cats blue because I felt like it. So I guess for the over here in the top right, we should focus on health. I'll give them 5, about 6 health slots. I don't think size is really going to matter that much. I'm only going to give them 3 here in the bottom right. I will give them more damage for these 4 here. How about some armor for these 2? I didn't use that. Here, we can commit this one to attack speed. These 3 can all be set aside to intelligence. A couple on speed. How about 1 on warfare? And the last one, again, we'll go with offspring. This is a slightly different genome. It might be better, it might be worse. I don't know. That's kind of what we're playing around with. But finally, the 2 empires are set. They will form their kingdoms, I hope. We're going to name the dog kingdom to the doggos, I suppose, and the cats to the cattos. So if we look here, the average lifespan of this king cat here is 120, and the king dog is 175. I'm not sure if that's true for all of the cats and dogs, but it seems like the dogs are going to outlive. The dogs, huge, are starting to build their houses. They can't even fit in these houses. Look how big these houses are. There's no way they're fitting inside that. We might have spawned a bit too many in of each. The cats are big too, but since I didn't give them as much, they're not as big. Also, not sure why the skeletons are here. I think that's actually probably explains a lot of the extra people. That was probably one of the things I gave the dogs, but if they're not attacking each other, I guess it's fine, so I'll allow it. But anyway, time's a ticking. The species gotta develop before we start this fight. We want to see some of the dog kids, see how they're doing, see what traits they have. So, I'm going to simulate to year 100. We're going to start the war at year 300, and I'm going to sim until year 100 right now, and we'll see how the dogs are doing then. And don't worry, I'll do a time lapse for you guys, because I know you guys love time lapses. So it has been 100 years, and you may have seen, at some point the dogs' population plummeted, and now they're around half the population of the cats. Which, the cats does include a lot of skeletons, but I'm not quite sure how many. We can actually check. In terms of cats, there are 723 cats, compared to just 277 dogs. So most of the other people here are actually skeletons. The cats have branched off into many different villages, while the dogs still just have the one. I'm going to remove the gift of death from both subspecies, and that way they can no longer raise skeletons into the world. And then I should be able to use the divine light to get rid of any remaining skeletons, I believe. There's still a few skeletons here and there, but for the most part, everything's been taken care of. So dogs now have 330 people, cats have 911. I'm not quite sure specifically what happened to the dogs to make them lose people, but they're in a very bad spot here. We can check the kingdoms, interesting people. Most kills for a dog is this guy Waff, who is the oldest. There's a couple of really old dogs who are all 118 because they're OGs. But if we look around, we can find a lot of younger dogs who have all of the traits. And the dogs with these traits have a projected lifespan of nearly 260 years, have the ability of having 52 children each, and have over 5,000 health, along with a lot of mana and stamina. Now, the cats have also split into 2 different kingdoms. I hope this won't mess with the war, but I'm not going to interfere with that for now. The oldest cat is somehow actually 125 years old, which I don't know how that's possible considering the world is 102 years old. I'm not going to worry about it, but I will see you guys at year 200, and that's when we'll do our last check-in before we begin the war. And we are at year 200, and there are still 2 different cat kingdoms, which very much shocks me. But for the most part, the dogs have finally been able to catch them in population. Looking at subspecies here, we have 2,800 cats compared to 1,500 dogs. Are there still skeletons living in this kingdom? I thought they couldn't. Someone's gonna need to explain to me why there are still skeletons here, but that's beyond me. I guess we'll keep them in for now. But let's look at some interesting stats. So in the Doggo's Kingdom, the oldest, surprisingly, there are still a few original dogs here at 216 years old. Most kills is 7. Most children and births is 14 by the same. The strongest is this wolf with 325 attack power. That's insane. 92 speed, 98 intelligence. So now let's shake it over to the cats. Their oldest is only 200 years old, which is not an original. Most kills for cats is only 3. Most births in children is 13 respectively. In general, looking through the stats, both animals seem to have around the same amount of health. And, well, now it's almost time for year 300. These subspecies are really overpowered. But the dogs gotta get to work, man. They gotta get their actual population up. Because I hate to break it to them, but I don't think these skeleton dudes are going to do much in battle. So if you're cheering for the dogs here, you're going to have to hope for something. But I will give you a little bit of hope, as I am going to make these cats declare war on those cats, because I don't want 2 cat kingdoms. So now, we are going to skip over to year 300. While you're watching this awesome time lapse, why not consider joining my Discord or becoming a channel member if you want to help me out. Links are both in the description. And we are at year 300. And these dang cats keep fighting. We're gonna have to wait till that fight's over before the war begins. Also, this is times 40 speed. Look, see, times 40. Look how slow my game is moving. It's just so many entities. My game's so laggy. Well, while they duke it out, let's check on how the dogs are doing. The oldest is 317 years old each, which is insane because once again, look, these are miracle born. These are the original people. And it looks like probably because of his age, he's developed the evil trait. And by the way, the reason they're still alive is because they have immortal. I forgot that people can have that trait. Most kills is this dog with 9. Smartest is 121. Fastest is 117. And strongest is 326. So now I'm going to quickly skip ahead until this cat's fight's over and we'll check out their stats and then we'll start the war. And the war is finally ended after about 8 more years, and you might have seen the time lapse. Those wars really just kept pouring on. Look at all the destruction over here in the cat's side. That's really going to harm them come the main war. And in terms of population, the dogs they're finally surpassed the cats and are now more than double them, which is an insane comeback story for the dog. But let's look at the subspecies, because remember, there was not that many dogs when we checked last time. Most of these were just simply skeletons, literally. So if we look at this time, the amount of dogs is about 3,100, roughly around 1,000 skeletons. On the other hand, the cats actually still have a few skeletons too, but there's about 3,000 of them as well. So dogs and the cats are pretty similar, but maybe these skeletons can help give an advantage to the dogs. So the dogs are truly not as inflated as they seem they are, but in terms of army, the dogs have 2,400 soldiers. Well, the cats just have 800. But now it's time for the war. We're going to turn on angry villager, a few entrances, and then we're going to get this war going. So we'll open up one here in the south, one here in the middle, one here in the kind of middle north, and then one here in the way north where no one really is. And then we began. I'm not sure why there's so much infighting over here immediately, but some of these creatures are just really fast. Remember, all these guys have extremely powerful traits, but the fighting rages on. Some of these guys are so fast, it's really hard to see what's going on. Also, if you guys see this, why are all these northern dog villages named Meow Meow? How's it? I don't know why they're... Okay. Lots of fighting going on here in the southern villages. Dogs are huge. Looks like they're getting sucked up in tornadoes. It's hard to see what's going on. Checking war stats here, already 1,000. It looks like, for the most part, it's like, check here, for example, the dogs are pretty easily pushed in terms of population. Dogs have actually lost a lot more than the cats have. The cats still have 600 soldiers, only losing 200 since we last checked, while the dogs have lost around 800. If the cats keep this way, they could still very well win this. The dogs are trying to push, but the cats, for some reason, look like they're using a lot of bows over here, as you can. We actually have a couple of cats over here in the dog kingdom fighting for the dogs. I'm not even sure how they would have gotten over here. And then we have some cats over here jumping along. Tornadoes, bombs, fire. Oh my god, what? It's raining fire clouds now. World population is down. I genuinely can't see what's going on over here. There's just so much crap. I'm gonna speed up time a bit and we're gonna try to see if we can get a... Cat Empire actually split up. I should have turned that off, but because of that, I'm going to turn them into a alliance, which I'm going to name the Cat. Unfortunately, that ended our war stats from earlier, but we got to reignite the war now. The dogs, it looks like they're slowly beginning to push into these cities. They're starting to push into the cat cities, but it's still really hard to see. The dogs have actually managed to capture a cat, which gives them a foothold in the way. The fighting rages on still. The subspecies are so big that it's actually just impossible to see what's... I think if someone ever just asks what WorldBox is about, like what you do in it, you should just show them this part of the video right here, or just take a screenshot of this and show them this. Because this, I feel like this encapsulates the spirit of the game pretty well, right? What's going on. Let's speed up time right here. Let's see what happens. Oh, this is 40 times speed. I don't even know if this is considered an epilepsy warning. I guess if it's not flashing colors. What is going on? There's lightning strikes, there's bubbles. It feels like a PowerPoint presentation. And I'm just quickly using the little clicker to get slides along. I'm backing up here. Gee. In terms of population, the dogs and the cats have literally like barely changed. I guess the cats are losing some. Let's check war. Remember, we had to start a new war, so only about 1,000 have died. So around 2,000 in total have died. And the Cats Alliance army has 400 soldiers left, while the dogs still have 1,600. So it looks like they have pretty easily able to hold on. And the cats are starting to get overwhelmed up in the north while they're losing serious amounts fighting in the war zone. Now the war zone is moved from the middle and everyone's just bouncing around inside the cat village. If we look over here, we see a lot of people enjoying their time. They're just sleeping, they're taking naps, they're having fun, they're throwing a party. And if we look on the immediate left side of the mountain, there's just absolute hell is breaking loose. Death. Fire is raining from the sky. Tornadoes are sweeping across the land. Lava and fire is raining over the cat village. The cats are down below 1,600. And I guess this is probably a good time to check some interesting creatures. The most ironically in the dogs is a cat named Meow, who has... Man, how is there a cat on the dogs? How did that even... I don't know how that happened. How did the cats get over to the dog? On the cat side, they have another cat, which makes sense, named Meow Meow. 13. The dogs are steadily pushing into cat territory, but it's... I mean, if you still look, it's just ruthless, because... These species are hard. I mean, this guy right here, I'm clicking on a random guy. This is a random cat who has 4 kills. But this is a completely random cat. Look at the traits they have. 3,000. I mean, you don't want to mess with... Because of the increased health and even damage, all of these battles last so much longer, as it's really difficult to even kill one. I mean, look in here. Even 1 years old have 3,000 and over in between 50 and 100 attack. I mean, in any other save that's not overpowered, that would be an insanely good... Like, that soldier would probably have 20 or 30 kills. And that's a 1-year-old cat with nothing special. In terms of cats, all of their houses are just gone. There's so much destruction. All the trees. It's a complete... If we look here at this cat village, which is relatively unharmed. I guess the east is kind of destroyed. There's nice farms. There's cats working. There's nice little cat houses. And then you just go into the southeast. Alright, unless... anything interesting happens, let's do a little time lapse until this war's... And sorry to interrupt your precious time lapse, guys, but if we see these flame clouds, which must be caused by one of the legends, really destroyed both kings. If we look at the doggos, if we look at their city of... There's like nothing left. There's like no houses. I'm actually gonna... This city can hold 9. If we look at info here, almost everyone... There are 660 hungry and 400... Technically, if the cats can hold out, many of the dogs may genuinely... But anyway, back to the... It's just destruction, lightning, flames from the sky. This war may genuinely... Looking at war stats here, over 4,200 have died, which is over 5,000 in total between the different... There's so much dang attacking. They're finally getting some... I mean, that's about what I expected. This is literally 1 time speed, and everyone's jumping around all... But it looks like the cat villages are finally starting to dissipate, fall. They're getting separated. And one of the... There's just 150 cats left here. And looks like a couple of the cities. Another one's gone. We're on to the last city here. I'm gonna slow down. We have the last kingdom of the cats. But before we watch it, let's check out some of the end of war. 7,500 people died in this war, plus 1,000 from the previous war, so 8,500 in total. This war has lost 77. The cats in their alliance only lost 2,000 soldiers, while the dogs lost 54. Looking at some interesting stats here, this top graph is the number of attacker deaths, so this is about a number of dog deaths compared to the number of cats. The cats lost a lot less than the dogs did. However, the dogs were able to just keep pushing through their population and their army, and they were able to eventually... Finally, as the last troops push in on 40, the last cats are making their stand. And even as they do that, it still looks like just absolute chaos going down. But finally, the cats are destroyed. Their overpowered subspecies has... And that is where the video is gonna end. If you guys have any more video ideas, let me know. This video is pretty... So, I will see you guys in the next one.